Was good, Josh. So I decided to make a video that'll let you know exactly which POIs, which PD arrays, which tools and price action are the most probable to be using. Because a lot of people come into smart money and they learn about what an order block is, they learn about a fair value gap, but they're taking the wrong ones. Why? Because they're taking it out of context. You can't be using order blocks from too far away from price action that don't affect our current order flow. So I'm gonna show you what I mean. And we're gonna have to do a top-down analysis in order to do this properly. So let's get into it. I'm gonna use the NASDAQ as the example that we base this around. So you need to understand the overall story here to understand why we're doing what we're doing. So the overall story is NASDAQ has been rallying since late October. It was rallying all the way up until here in March. Think about that. It's a crazy run. It's been bullish. So you can see that order flow here is clearly extremely bullish. It's one directional. And then next thing you know, we get a nice little order block that occurs inside of this price lag. And there's a lot of criteria that we use for order blocks. And maybe I'll do another master class for that one day soon. But one thing I will say is make sure that your order blocks are labeled correctly, meaning you don't just take the last red candle before a big green move like this. No, it has to be consecutive red candles. So it's both of these red candles make up the order block. Now, there's a lot of incorrect teaching that's out there on YouTube or in different people's mentorships and all that stuff where they're telling you, hey, an order block is just the last red candle before a big move. That's completely incorrect. And if somebody's teaching you that, run in the other direction because they don't know what they're talking about. So yes, it will be the consecutive opposite color candles before impulse move. And there is way more criteria than that. That's just to speak on how to highlight it. And remember, the word is consecutive. So it can be a red candle, a green, and then another red. Nah, it has to be 2 reds in a row. It could even be 3 reds in a row, 4 reds in a row. It does not matter. And this scenario is just 2, so we'll leave it as such. And this is an order block that I was looking at since, as you see here in this screenshot, since February 20th. I was eyeing for price to come back into this order block to push to the upside. So we've been looking at this since February 20th, and we didn't end up using it until I think April, but we'll see that in the replay in a second. So that's for one. Now, also, you got to know when it's time to retrace. So there's a method I teach my mentees to know when to expect a potential top in the market. So I've been had this area highlighted, this yellow line that says the 1W -1. So look, let's look at it. The 1W -1. Here I said on March 7th, I said, hey, maybe we run all-time highs today, slash London, slash NFPs. This is the NFP day I was getting us ready for. The NFP's first reaction, because it's typically a two-sided reaction on NFP. Like a lot of times when the news drops, it may be bullish, but then for the rest of the day, we end up actually flushing out. It's a big fake move. So the first move of NFP is typically fake. So that's what I was saying here. Like, hey, the first move of NFP can send us higher, but then we'll end up flushing for the rest of the day on Friday. All right. So keep that in mind. Keep that in mind. I said that on March 7th. So let's go into that. Here on March 7th, as you can see, what do we do? March 7th is there's a green candle. So I said that. So what do we do on NFP, which would be Friday? Remember, NFP is Friday at 8:30 a.m. What do we do? We ran up, ran all-time highs, ran to the -1 target, and then we flushed after that. So beautiful. And I would have expected continuation after that. But if you guys remember this time period, it was extremely consolidated. But regardless, this was the top of the market. We came, swept these highs, and then that started the official downtrend before our market correction that occurred in April. So this is still just to show you either way. And once again, you may see bodies expecting this area. I've been telling you guys about candle bodies for a long time now. So you see candle bodies respecting a yellow line. So then price ultimately starts to make its way down. This was the top of the market. So now at this point, we are officially expecting nothing but bearish moves and price action. So we know the market topped out already. We have a place on the weekly that we expect price to go bullish from. So until we get to this weekly area, guess what you're going to see out of the lower time frames in the weekly? Bearish moves. So the daily is about to show a lot of bearishness. A lot of people, when they're looking to see if we're bearish, they want to see a market structure shift. So they want to see, hey, we got to close under this low right here. I'll draw it so you see what I'm talking about. They're basically saying, hey, if we close under this low, we're officially bearish. We knew we were bearish already earlier than that. I won't say how. That's a mentorship topic. For my mentees that's listening to this, y'all know how. We use a signature to know, like, okay, there's no way that we're bullish anymore. All right, so we already are getting in position for a daily downtrend or a 4-hour downtrend, and everything under that will be in a downtrend. We're getting in position based on something that occurred all up in here. All right. And that's what I mean by there's signatures and price action. All right. There's a way that price typically delivers when it's bullish, and there's a way that price typically delivers when it's bearish. If we were bullish, certain things wouldn't have happened in this area. All right. So we don't wait for a market structure shift to know that we're bearish. That could be a little extra confirmation, but you don't need it. And that's why I don't teach market structure besides maybe the first class of the mentorship, because it's a nice place to have as a foundation. But we move on from that because price doesn't necessarily move off of breaks of structures or change of characters and stuff like that. But I'm not even going to tangent with that right now. So either way, as you see, we come here. For people that's waiting on the structural shift, there you go. We close under that low, and then it's going to enter a downtrend. All right, now look at the 4-hour and this time period. You see the 4-hour, it was moving sideways, but the 4-hour looks good. Guess what? All these time frames are in a downtrend. See, we making lower lows, lower highs. Everything under the weekly is in a downtrend until we get to the POI. And then now you see what's happening. All right. So now that we got to this POI, price is ready to start making moves to the upside. Now you had a little consolidation in this area. Wasn't the easiest area to trade. So we came back down before we ended up ultimately coming back up. But here's the thing. You have to know where we are in price action. So there's some people that's going to teach you that this green candle is a bearish order block. That's what some people are going to teach you. So look, on the daily, if you think this is a bearish order block, you would expect that we would touch this green area or, you know, come into this green candles area and then make moves to the downside to run the last low, because the point of an order block is to tap into it and then use it to bring you to new lows. Clearly it didn't do that, right? Well, you're about to see now that it didn't do that. Okay, so clearly it did not do that. Why? This order block is officially out of context. This is out of context because we're now in bullish order flow. Prices has proven to be in bullish order flow. We're coming out of a weekly order block. So this daily order block right here, quote unquote, which I would have never validated as a real order block, by the way. Once again, there's other criteria that I use to know what's a valid order block and what's not. I would have never used this order block and expected rejections off of it. When we got this rejection initially, I said, hey, right, it made me second guess for a second, right? I was like, hey, maybe it's going to use this, because I know some people do teach this, but it didn't hold as I initially thought, because this is not the type of order block that typically makes price move to the downside to run new lows. No way. We got a little reaction off of it, yeah, but it's nothing that I would really base a major play around. So now that's when, and why is that? Because this is out of context. Now we come up into this green candle next, and there's some people that's going to try to tell you, hey, this is a premium order block. This order block right here is the one that started the downtrend. So we're gonna come back into this area, this purple area, and then make a big flush out of that. I've seen people saying this. This was some people's analysis, and I'm just like, man, you're sadly mistaken. This is so out of context. This is so out of order flow. We're not worried about this bearish OB, because if you do a top-down analysis, you'll know what we're really coming out of. We're coming out of a bullish OB from the weekly. So let's look at the weekly for a second. What did price do? After we touched the top of the bull market, at least before the last correction, we came into what? A bullish tool on the weekly. So this order block on the weekly time frame is absolutely in context. Why? Because it matches the weekly order flow. The weekly hasn't been invalidated. Now, if the weekly would have closed under this, then now you have other things you could say. Now we will see if we want to react to the order block below. And if not, then yeah, it's going to look very bad for price action. All right, so there's two spots on the weekly that we will be eyeing. It will be this one right here, as well as the one below it. Copy. Now, but however you see that we did use the initial order block, which we absolutely should if we're bullish. It's always an if-then statement. When it comes to the weekly time frame, if we are still bullish on the weekly, then this order block will work. We come into this order block, it's pushing us up. Beautiful. So anything below that, these POIs don't mean anything. You're looking at this green candle and calling it a bearish order block. Didn't work out. You're looking at this green candle and calling it a bearish order block, and it absolutely did not work out because it's out of context. So that's what I mean when I say you'll know which POIs to pay attention to when you understand the order flow that we're in. But I want you to look at this with a different lens now. So notice this. We are absolutely bullish on the daily now. I didn't have to wait for price to close above these highs for me to know that we're bullish on the daily. I don't need that market structure shift that people are talking about. I'm paying attention to order flow to know that we're bullish. So for example, something we wouldn't want to see if we're truly bullish is price come back. And I said this on our watch list. There's nothing I'm saying right now that I haven't been documented saying in before it even happened, right? Like, it's not like I'm saying this stuff in hindsight. If you're not subscribed to the channel right now, definitely subscribe and check out our watch list that we do every Sunday. And also join the free community. That link is in the bio of the free community, because we talk about this live. Everything happens, everything we say is what we say before it actually occurs in price action. So what I said was this fair value gap right here, we don't want price to come back to it. And if it does, it definitely can't come to the lower half of it, because that's the only how I would know that we're bearish. But as long as we stay above this fair value gap, I know that we're bullish. I would give price a chance to tap into it sensitively, meaning staying above the 50% of it, but that's it. And I said that back when price was right here. I said that on this day. So that's what I call a signature, for example. Seeing price not use that is a signature. So that's just another confirmation that yes, we are still bullish and we will remain bullish. And I'm only looking at bullish things. So notice that a bearish order block did not work. Another bearish order block did not work. But what is working? Bullish signatures. You're leaving this fair value gap open. We wanted the price to use this fair value gap to move higher. What did it do? Price tapped into this fair value gap and moved higher. All right. And then here, I did a whole live on Instagram where I said a CPI is going to be a very aggressive bullish move to take out all this liquidity and make us get to new all-time highs. CPI was this Wednesday candle. As you can see, what do? We opened up, ran those highs. Beautiful. Target hit. And that's all coming off of this weekly order block that we've been eyeing since, as you saw in the screenshot, since February. We've been eyeing this order block. So it's like nothing that's happening in price action is not something we didn't say before it ever occurred. It's like we could tell the future is something, right? Nah, it's just understanding that price moves with a level of precision that most people are not aware of. It's not random. It's not just random. So yes, we understand that it's gonna have to look bearish in this time period. So while we're on this price lag, actually let's analyze this price lag for a second and see if we can notice some things. Because as we know, price is attempting to get to this purple area. So that's the only time we're looking at bearish things in price action. So I need you to refocus for a second. There's people that don't understand order flow. So guess what? You see this order block right here, all the way to the left. There's people who's trying to use this order block to expect for price to go bullish off of that. Why? Because they don't understand order flow. So I would never be looking at this order block when I understand the objective is to get down to this purple area. Why? Because I understand order flow. I did a top-down analysis. The weekly told me that the weekly wants to head here first before moving up. So this 4-hour order block to the left has nothing to do with the overall story. Why you think it didn't work? Price moved right past that thing, and then we tapped into the weekly. Now it's time for price to start moving bullishly. Now, until we got to that purple area below, what did the 4-hour do? The 4-hour was respecting everything that's bearish in price action. We rejected this bearish fair value gap right here. Price came down, rejected another bearish fair value gap. Price came down, rejected right at these lows right in here. Price came down, rejected another bearish fair value gap. Price came down. Now we in the area. Now we're looking for sentiment to shift. All right, we're refusing to make new lows now. price moves up, and all of a sudden you're gonna notice price respecting bullish things instead. All of a sudden, right? Come down into these red candles, go bullish. Come down in this fair value gap, go bullish. Everything is working out. Then we have a fake out to the downside, but ultimately, what held? We didn't close under these lows. So even if you're looking at market structure, the structure for bullishness is still staying the same from this angle. Cool. Now we moving up. Notice everything that's being respected. All these bullish things are being respected, but guess what? All these bearish things are not. So once again, there's people that are trying to use this as a bearish order block. Is it working? Not really, right? It's people that's trying to use it as a bearish order block. Why? Because they're not paying attention to the fact that we're bullish. So they're still looking at this bearish order block because they don't understand where we are in flow. So that has nothing to do with nothing. All right, so look, beautiful. Now we come to all-time highs. Easy money. And during all these price legs, everything was called out before it happened. Because that BTSMC, we call it before it happens. So nothing I'm saying here is in hindsight. This is what we say in the community. I'm giving daily updates. I'm giving updates on the watch list on a weekly basis. So if you're not in the free community, once again, definitely tap in, and the link is in the description of this video. And follow me on Instagram because I'm also vocal there, and I do lives every Tuesday. So Instagram is @BagTalkTerrell. That's also in the description. So I hope you guys can see through what I'm saying here, how we know exactly how to know which tools to pay attention to and which ones not to. The weekly told us the weekly will be bearish until we hit this purple area, and then we'll be bullish. So all we do on the time frames below it is until we hit the purple, we're paying attention to bearish things on this price leg. But once we hit the purple and price proves that it's actually going to be using it, we're officially paying attention to only bullish things on the way up. So I'm no longer looking at anything on the left side during this price leg. I'm only staring at things on this price leg. So I'm looking at order blocks and fair value gaps and other POIs that are bullish on this price leg until we hit our target. Then we wait to see what happens next. And I'm looking for different signatures that'll show me if we want to continue or not, which are signatures I've been vocal about in the community. Just like this day, and this is the last thing I'll say, price action made a strong down move here on Thursday that made people think, oh, we about to flush. Because, man, if you saw this, let's look at the 5 minute just to give people a visual who weren't a part of this move. We made a lot of money this day. Like, this is actually my biggest day of 2024 so far. So you can see what Thursday looked like. Super bearish. And people made money on the live trade that I did as well. So this was good. This was super bearish. But then what happened? A lot of people thought we were going to be in a downtrend, but I'm paying attention to signatures and price action. So there's a signature that occurred here on the 4 hour. My mentees know what it is because we went over it in class. There's a signature and price action that occurred here on the 4 hour that told me, okay, we're going to rally tomorrow. And look what happened the next day. Boom, big green candle. Took back the whole drop that occurred on Thursday. We took it all back on Friday. And then now we'll see what happens next when we open back up. So this, just to tell you, signatures and order flow, which is what I teach in my mentorship, is something that'll guide you in this market. If you're interested in the mentorship, the link is in the description of this video as well. There's buy now, pay later solutions available. So that's where I go in depth on everything. Like, there's a lot I didn't say in this video that I would be saying to my mentees. So make sure you're checking the mentorship out. If not, and you just want to be in the free community, that link is in the description as well. So with that being said, that's all she wrote.